Welcome to Terror in Tandem, a podcast about finding entertainment in the macabre, hosted by the knowledgeable and lovable Lauren Richard Mathiasen. Each episode, we discuss the horror genre, from books to film to TV and beyond, sometimes even from the beyond. You can find us online at terrorintandem.com and on Instagram at terrorintandem.
Hey,
just a shout out to our 5-star reviewer.
Oh, Mr. Pastrami?
Mr. T. Pastrami, J.T. Pastrami. Thank you so much.
It sounds like a scholar and a gentleman.
Yeah, we're loving doing this, and we're doing it for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Pastrami.
Thank you, Mr. Pastrami.
And screw you, Mr. Corned Beef.
Can you all please just write a nice review for us?
Oh, that'd be great.
All 47 of you, thank you. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you.
Yeah.
And we'll keep
we
delivering
really do.
these out of the park episodes for you.
Oh, yeah. These superlative quality wit and wisdom.
Absolutely.
Gems.
We're going to keep doing it until, we get a cease and desist.
Or just mobs with pitchforks.
Exactly.
Like Frankenstein
until,
style.
People literally rip the headphones from thine ears.
Throw us in the river to see if we float or sink.
Exactly. Well, you'll definitely float.
But then if you float, then they fish you out and burn you.
You'll float too.
That's just the worst. I mean, so the way they tested for witches in Dark Ages England is they threw you in the river, and if you sank and drowned, everyone rejoiced.
Sometimes but even before they threw you in, sometimes they tied stones around you or made you hold a big stone.
Oh God.
And then threw you in, and if you sank, then
And
you
drowned.
weren't a witch.
Then you weren't a witch and everyone
But
rejoiced.
you're dead.
But you're fucking dead.
Right.
And if you floated, then they fished you out and burned you.
Yeah.
So
Things aren't as bad as you think, everyone.
I guess.
Yes, they
Incremental progress.
So, hi, this is what we're looking forward to in July
I know,
episode.
that started dark, and I'm actually in a great mood.
Well, our podcast is about horror, so
True.
Don't we always start and end and middle dark?
But with a twinkle.
Yeah, a twinkle in
With
our...
a twilight vampire in the sun twinkle.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Sure, we're super positive people, and we're only going to talk about light. So let me talk about all the murder podcasts I'm going to recommend today.
Hey, everyone.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about July, just a little bit about July. It is a month in a year of 12 months. It is a hot month. It is...
Not your favorite.
One of the, Independence Day months.
Sure is.
If you recognize this country of the United States.
If you recognize it?
Well, we have listeners in the UK, and they do not recognize USA's Independence Day. So
You think they still haven't gotten over that?
Well, I mean, they have their own stuff going on. They had just had the Queen's Jubilee.
They celebrate. They don't celebrate it, but when you say recognize, it makes me think like the UK doesn't acknowledge that the United States exists as a country.
No, I meant so you mean 4th of July is walking through the door and someone the UK is like, who are you? I've never seen you before. I don't recognize you. No, I meant celebrate.
I understand.
Oh, boy, everybody. I don't know. Remember when I said we're going to keep doing this? Well, it may last longer than this marriage.
The cross you have to bear is shaped like me.
So July, you all know it. You all love it.
I do.
If you're a teacher especially, because you're
July.
not working
It's one
anymore.
of my favorite months of the year.
Well, I know why.
Well, no, I mean, not just for that. It's just, I like the hot weather.
He really does.
I'm hot-blooded.
You
Check
are?
it and see.
Are we all?
No, I mean,
are humans hot-blooded?
No, not. Well, yes,
warm-blooded. Yeah,
yes. We're not lizards, most of us.
Oh, what is that show?
V. Where they were lizards.
V.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I needed.
I love that show.
Of course, it's amazing. Mark Singer and Robert Englund. V ruled.
Who was the lady? It wasn't Marina Baccarin, was it?
Well, she was in the remake.
Okay.
They remade it a few years ago. Oh, maybe even longer than that. But Morena Baccarin was in the remake.
For those of you who don't know who Marina Baccarin is,
Shame on you.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, Deadpool, Firefly, Serenity,
Yeah,
all good stuff.
and she's married to the guy that was in the OC,
I don't know who that
Ryan.
is. Okay. Take your word for it. What was I looking up? Oh,
V.
Right. June Chadwick.
Yeah, because she was definitely a lizard.
Okay.
She like peeled her face off.
Yeah.
They were scary.
Really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good show.
V
I
was
remember my
great.
dad and I really loved watching that show.
You know, I got to give it up to your dad. He did really introduce you to a lot of classic science fiction as a young kid, and I think that shaped you into the horror nerd that you are now.
Yeah, the dark weirdo that we all know and tolerate.
Talk about backfiring. Yeah.
So, should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Okay.
So excited.
You go first.
Oh my God, really?
I want to end.
Okay. I'm excited.
Well, we're both going to end because we have a shared.
We do. I'm proud of myself this month because it's not just movies for me. Actually,
Wow.
I'm not recommending any movies.
Neither
this
am
month.
I. Well, no,
What?
we are
We-
collectively recommending one movie
We
because
are.
we couldn't decide who was going to do it.
Well, we our gladiatorial match
That's-
that decides these things. We came to a stalemate. So my first recommendation for the month of July is the new novel by T. Kingfisher, "What Moves the Dead," which comes out
is
July
it
12th.
T period King
Correct.
or T King?
No, the letter T
TEE.
and the last name Kingfisher.
Okay.
So T period Kingfisher. It's actually
T period King period Fisher period.
no
Kingfisher's one word?
T. Kingfisher is the author. So T. Kingfisher is the pen name of Ursula Vernon, who is under her given name a young adult fantasy writer. And under the pen name T. Kingfisher, she writes adult books. Started off writing adult fantasy, and her last few novels have been horror. Now, I just discovered T. Kingfisher, so I'm a little late to the game, honestly. And I've just started reading The Twisted Ones, which is really, really good. So I'm very excited about What Moves the Dead.
That's happened a lot lately. I've noticed that YA novelists will move to adult novels of horror genre.
Sure. I mean, and I think it's a really smart move to use a nom de plume, because audiences sometimes it's hard for us to shift our expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So using a different name, it's just a little quick psychological trick, that allows you to make the delineation between a YA author and a more mature author. But What Moves the Dead is... I'm especially excited about this one because it is a modern retelling of one of my favorite stories of all time, Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher.
That's such a great one.
Oh, it's one of maybe the first horror stories I ever read. I love Edgar Allan Poe. We're definitely doing some Edgar Allan Poe later.
Absolutely.
And it's also one of my favorite Vincent Price movies was the Roger Corman adaptation, House of Usher, where Vincent Price plays Roderick Usher. Anyway, this novel, I'm going to read the synopsis from Macmillan. When Alex Easton, a retired soldier, receives word that their childhood friend Madeline Usher is dying, they race to the ancestral home of the Ushers in the remote countryside of Ruritania. What they find there is a nightmare of fungal growths and possessed wildlife surrounding a dark, pulsing lake. Madeline sleepwalks and speaks in strange voices at night, and her brother Roderick is consumed with a mysterious malady of the nerves. Aided by a redoubtable British mycologist and a baffled American doctor, Alex must unravel the secret of the House of Usher before it consumes them all. I mean,
It's great.
hell yeah. So
It's a well-written synopsis.
I agree. And a couple of things really caught me there. There has been a trend recently in eco-horror, specifically around mushrooms and fungal growths, because mycology and mycelium mushrooms, they're so different from other forms of life on Earth. And as these stories become more popularized, I think they've really penetrated the horror genre in recent movies like Gaia and
In
Ben
the Earth?
Wheatley. Yeah, in the Earth, exactly. Ben Wheatley's films, A Field in England. So there's that going on, and the fact that they use gender-neutral pronouns to describe the protagonist, Alex, has me intrigued. That's not a perspective you often get. I'm wondering if that is even the perspective. This is just a brief synopsis. So honestly, I'm excited about this based on the premise. Some people might feel a little protective of their favorite stories, but I think storytelling, when done right, it deserves to evolve, and stories need to be told again to new generations to live on. So yeah, What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. It sounds like a really good summer read, and I can't wait.
That's amazing. That does sound really interesting. I have my first recommendation, which is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. So Ruth Ware is a UK writer who I've read quite a few works from in the past. She's a #1 New York Times best-selling author.
Oh, wow.
She wrote In a Dark, Dark Wood, Woman in Cabin 10, One by One, and The Turn of the Key, which was my personal favorite.
I remember when you
hers.
were reading that, yeah.
She's been called the Agatha Christie of our generation. The It Girl comes out July 12th. So I'm going to, summarize the synopsis.
That's the same day What Moves the Dead comes out, so we both get a new book that day.
Nice. The It Girl is an unput-downable mystery about a woman named Hannah on the search for answers more than a decade after her friend April's murder. Hannah's expecting her first child with her husband. She met April at Oxford. The man convicted of killing April, John Neville, has died in prison. Then a journalist comes knocking on her door with evidence that Neville is innocent. She then sets out to find the truth and discovers that not all of the devoted friends that she had at Oxford, including her husband, are telling the truth about April's death. And Ruth Ware always says that she has like a fear-based or a nerve-based question, something that unnerves her, that she poses with every book. And this question is,
interesting.
What if you make a mistake and send an innocent person to jail?
That's a great way to approach storytelling, I think.
Yeah. Actually, she talked a lot about her writing process, especially for this book, because it was quite different than typically, like how she typically approaches
writing.
So
she went against her own process to write this new book?
Not because she wanted to. So she typically sits down. Her writing process is typically send the kids off to school, sit down and write all day until they get home.
Yikes. That sounds pretty incredible.
This book came out of lockdown. So she didn't actually sit down because she's basically written a book every year since 2015. Except for 2020 when lockdown happened. Yeah, and she had the kids around. Yeah, so COVID interrupted her writing process because of homeschooling and her own doom scrolling. And so her once quiet sanctuary at home was then very crowded with her husband, who was actually a virologist.
Oh, gosh.
And had, meetings and meetings.
And she's getting like all the scariest stories possible. Right. Yeah. And that takes up a lot of real estate in your brain.
She said that this book was mostly written and plotted in her head.
Yeah, wow.
And then she would find time to write the scenes that she sort of imagined.
Imagine keeping all of that in your head during the most chaotic and scary time most of us have ever lived through.
Yeah.
That's really something.
It'll be a really interesting read, and I'm excited to read it.
And, not to be insensitive or anything, but there is something to be said about art created from a visceral place of fear.
Yeah.
And tension. It can be cathartic for the writer, but it also translates to the audience as well. There's always something a little special about when an author is writing about something that makes them personally uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really neat. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, neat. I said neat twice.
Double neat.
My next recommendation is a TV show, and it's one of our favorites. It also comes out July 12th, so that's a busy day.
Oh my God, do I know? Oh my God, I'm so excited.
You totally do. And you are excited. And
I already know what you're going to talk about.
It is season 4 of What We Do in the Shadows. I don't have the words to describe this show because there aren't any. It is superlative in every way possible.
It's a chaotic delight.
It is the best. So I highly, highly recommend, if you're going to get into the show, which is available on Hulu, it's an FX show. You can get all the seasons on Hulu. If you're going to watch the show, you have to watch the movie first. It was a 2014 Taika Waititi horror comedy, mostly comedy, What We Do in the Shadows.
It's essentially a documentary that follows around contemporary vampires.
Well, actually, yeah, it's a contemporary documentary following around centuries-old vampires.
Sure, but in contemporary times.
In modern times. And
they're like roommates. It's like,
they're,
the real world vampire edition.
Exactly. And it's like the idea is these centuries-old creatures are terrible at adapting to modern life. Like, they really haven't gotten past what was popular during their mortal lives, so like, the 16th century. So and they're all very foppish, and they dress in frilly clothes and whatnot, and it's wonderful. So the movie had Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi in it. The show is
Flight of the Conchords, for anybody who might not be familiar with Jermaine Clement.
New Zealand genius.
Yes.
One half of Flight of the Conchords with Academy Award winner Brett McKenzie.
And he actually is on tour right now, and I think the tour is something like songs that aren't funny.
Well, he's an incredibly talented musician and composer.
So they're all like songs that are not funny.
That's really cool. So What We Do in the Shadows it follows a different coven of vampires from the movie, but it is a sequel. It is an extension.
There are some callbacks within the show.
Yes.
So that's why
and there are cameos.
It grounds the movie. I mean, it grounds the show by watching the movie. And Taika Waititi is also in the movie.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So the strength of this show lies, I'd say, in two things. The ensemble cast. Mm-hmm. There are no weak links. It's hard to pick a favorite.
It's really hard to pick a favorite
because
mine fluctuates all the time.
It really just whoever's on screen at the time is my favorite. So Kevin Novak plays Nandor, who is this
Nandor the Terrible.
Nandor the Terrible. He's a foppish conqueror of like the Ottoman Empire, like way back when.
And he has a little bit of a lisp.
Yes, and he's wonderful. Natasha Demetriou plays Nadia, who's a standout. Matt Berry, you might recognize from the IT Crowd, plays Laszlo, and Mark Prush. I apologize if I'm not getting that right. Plays Colin Robinson, who is an energy vampire.
If you listen to our vampire episode, he
and we're
is
assuming
someone
you did.
Who would truly be part of the Atlanta Vampire Alliance.
Yeah, his whole deal
He identifies as an energy vampire.
He doesn't drink blood. He's immortal, and all of that. His powers are actually kind of mysterious on the show, but he feeds off of people's energy by engaging them in like meaningless, circuitous conversations that go nowhere, either boring them or enraging them, and then his eyes light up and he gets this like weird look on his face.
It's amazing.
You might recognize Mark Prush from later episodes of The Office, where he was Dwight's like kind of dopey assistant at the office complex.
Yeah. There's an episode where Vanessa Bayer comes on as a guest star, and they basically work in the same office together.
Right, she's competing and she is incredible. That's another thing. This show has a lot of cameos in it, and they're not cheap.
It takes place on Staten Island.
It's on Staten Island, which for any New Yorkers out there, it's Staten Island.
Yeah.
No offense to Method Man, love you, but it is Staten Island, and Pete Davidson also.
He's not in it though,
but he's from it.
Yeah, he is, and Colin Jost.
Yeah, sure. So also, I want to mention Harvey Guillen as Guillermo, their human familiar.
Oh my God.
He is wonderful.
He's so good.
He plays their human familiar who desperately wants to be turned into a vampire, and then he discovers a familial history and a certain skill that he has that, it doesn't work very well with living with vampires.
Yeah, and he is. I mean, the intro, I watch. You know how some shows, like Game of Thrones, you watch the intro credits.
Oh,
and
the
music.
credits. Yeah, the credit sequence is wonderful. You
It's
never
so
skip
great.
past it.
No.
The credit sequence on this is wonderful. It features the incredible song "You're Dead" by Norma Talega, who was the former lover of Dusty Springfield way back in the day. She was a wonderful songwriter. Wrote, I think it was the song "Walkin' My Cat Named Dog," but she was, an indigenous songwriter from the 60s and folk singer and feminist and just an all-around interesting woman. Was a professor for a long time. But anyway, the show, what we do in the shadows, the other strength of it, besides the ensemble cast, is they dive so deeply into vampire lore and all kinds of vampire lore. Whatever story came out of wherever, they find it and they find ways to incorporate it into the show. And vampire lores, as we've discussed in our previous episode, they span the globe. They span centuries of storytelling. So there's a lot of crazy, weird shit out there, and they find a way to bring it in.
And the last episode of the last season ended on such a cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah.
A crazy lunatic cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this.
Can't
next
wait.
season.
It's just a joy to watch. It's one of the funniest shows, if not the funniest show on television. The movie is so funny I had to watch it again to get the parts I laughed over.
Right.
Because we saw it in the theater,
rewatchable.
and I missed half of the jokes because I was laughing through it. Now, I just discovered this. I'm a little surprised that I didn't know about this before. So What We Do in the Shadows started life as a 2005 short film that Taika Waititi shot. It's like about a half hour long. Same cast as the movie. So with one exception, Jermaine Clement, in the movie, his vampire's name is Vladislav. In the short film, his name was Vulvis. And I'm a little sad they changed it from Vulvis the vampire. I thought it was
It's amazing.
pretty
That's really amazing.
Yeah. So we haven't watched that yet, to be honest, but I can guarantee it is now my mission in life to seek this out and watch it.
Okay, so my next recommendation is another book.
Do it.
I almost recommended 4 books, but I'm only recommending 2 this month.
I mean, there was only so many hours in the day, and
4 weeks in a
not
month.
everyone can read 2 books at once like you. With one in
but
each
like
hand.
4 books in a month, 4 weeks in a month.
We
a
should
book
mention
a week.
we don't have children, so for
Or
those
do
of you
we?
that do have children, we understand that time
I know.
is precious.
I'm not expecting all this stuff.
We recognize our privilege.
So The Pallbearers Club by Paul Tremblay. That's my book recommendation.
Shit.
Yeah. So Paul
He is so
Tremblay
good.
wrote The Cabin at the End of the World, which halfway through that book, I said to Richard, I need you, promise me you'll read this as soon as I'm done. I'm going to be done this afternoon. Please read this book immediately after. And he did. And I was like, what part are you at? What part are you at?
Oh, yeah. And
It's really, I mean, it's a horror book. It's amazing. That's not the book I'm recommending because it's already out.
If you do read that one, and I highly recommend you do, keep tissues nearby. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Keep tissues nearby.
Yeah, tissues and it's scary. He also wrote a Survivor Song, which is about a global pandemic.
Ooh, what's that like?
I wouldn't know. And also A Head Full of Ghosts.
Yeah.
Which is, one of the most notable, really, really promoted.
That was the one
Stephen
where
King.
it really exploded onto the scene.
Yes.
And I remember Stephen King giving high praise to that,
yeah.
which God, I mean, just imagine writing something and having Stephen King praise you for it. That
Right.
must be
Oh my
like
God.
euphoria.
I can't wait for him to praise this
I
podcast.
know. And we know you're listening,
We know
Mr.
you're
King.
listening.
We did a whole episode about you.
Yeah,
and
we're going to do so many more.
do more, and we're going to be super nice
Please
about
come
it.
on and tell us what, you want us to know. So usually his books, The Cabin at the End of the World and Survivor Song, operated on a compressed timeline. It was just, basically like a couple of days.
Yeah.
This new work, The Pallbearers Club, it takes place over decades.
That's quite a departure.
So it's presented as a memoir of someone who calls himself Art Barbara. And it starts in the 80s when Art is an unpopular high school student, senior.
Have no idea what that's like. That's
He
foreign to me.
He decides to start the Pallbearers Club to enhance his college applications with extracurriculars, wherein the Pallbearers Club volunteer at funeral homes to assist with the burial of elderly and homeless folks who don't have living relatives.
Yeah.
He gets 2 classmates to join, and then later a local woman also joins. The woman takes pictures of all the corpses. Strange things seem to take place when she's around, especially at night.
As you do at funerals, just whip out your iPhone and snap a couple of pics of your dearly beloved.
Right. And then cut to decades later when Art tries to make sense of, the entirety of the Pallbearers Club experience by writing a book, his own book called The Pallbearers Club, a memoir. So this is a book within a book.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
She, the woman, gets a hold of the manuscript and takes issue with some of the information in it.
I think that's an experience many biographers have had.
Mm-hmm. So there may be a supernatural element in the book. And there's supposedly some unique interior designs of the text, like writing in the margins.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a House of Leaves kind of style?
Well, I don't know if you have to read some of it in a mirror or not. TBD on that.
Yeah, I mean, House of Leaves is
yet.
pretty extreme.
Yeah. And again, Paul Tremblay's The Pallbearers Club comes out July 5th.
I'm excited for that.
Me too.
He's such a master of writing taut, lean and sort of like stripped down thrillers and horror. Then I'm excited to see what he does with a longer, almost generational story like that.
I think it sounds great.
Yeah. Do you want to? Do you think it's time to take a bit of a break?
Oh, I think we're well past a break.
Well,
sorry everyone.
We could use one.
Yeah.
We could walk our many properties, walk the grounds, inspect.
Let's go remote from another property for the second part of this episode.
All right. We'll see you in Kuala Lumpur.
Do you have something to hide? Come on, we all do. But when the thing you want to hide is your malformed, damaged, or deranged face, then have we got the product for you. At Michael Myers Mask Mongers, we have the fit and flair that will cover your most grotesque facial deformity. If you want to cover the thing of nightmares with something that inspires, well, new nightmares, head to one of our monger mills and choose the right mask for your reign of terror. Ghost-faced, clown-inspired, cherubic, or sport-themed masks, you have your choice of over 1,000 options. With our quadruple M guarantee, you will be delighted to inspire fear in everyone you encounter and maintain your own horrific anonymity. This is a fake ad for a fake product on a horror-themed podcast. We do not condone nor endorse murder of any kind, no matter how cool your mask looks. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
And we're going to get right into it with Richard's third and final recommendation.
Third one. It's another TV show. And this one, I'm going to be honest with you folks, I don't know about this one. It really could go either way. I remain optimistic, and I do want to see it. I'm going to check it out. It is Resident Evil Season 1, yet another adaptation coming to Netflix on July 14th. Now, here's the deal with Resident Evil. It's complicated. It began life as a series of video games, which continue. I've played most of them. Some of them are great, others less great. There are 7 mainline games, a bunch of spin-off games. It's been out for 25 years at least, something like that. It was already made into a movie series by Paul W.S. Anderson. And I'm going to level with you. I wasn't a huge fan of the movie series. I thought it deviated quite a bit from the video games, and it just didn't really work for me. Originally, George Romero was supposed to direct the first Resident Evil, but dropped out or got kicked out. I'm not sure, but I think that maybe biased me a little bit as well. Anyway, this show, a couple of things I think are working in its favor. Number one, first and foremost, is Lance Reddick is starring as Alfred Wesker. Now, fans of the games will recognize the name Alfred Wesker. He's the kind of big bad. Lance Reddick, you recognize him from the John Wick movies, from Lost. He just has that beautiful, beautiful, deep, sonorous voice. If you play Destiny, you've heard him as the, I think, the Vanguard chief. I haven't played that game in a long time. But anyway, so having him in that is pretty cool. The show takes place on 2 different timelines. Alfred Wesker moves his daughters to Raccoon City, which is the planned community that the evil pharmaceutical company Umbrella Corporation has built up.
So
now,
it's all the same premise?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the interesting thing is the showrunners have said they're treating the show as if the video games, everything that took place in all the video games has already happened.
Okay.
So that is interesting to me because those video games are a mess. I mean, they're Japanese horror games that have been going on for decades. So some pretty wild ideas have been thrown out there. I'm interested to see how many they're going to incorporate because honestly, some of them contradict each other at times.
And if you listen to our Japan episode, then you will have somewhat of an understanding
a little
of
bit.
Japanese horror games
and now,
how important they are in their culture.
The show takes place on 2 timelines. The sort of present day, 2023, where he's working in this pharmaceutical company Umbrella, which is recovering from a scandal where it created something called the T virus, which made monsters, zombies, zombie dogs, zombie people, that kind of stuff. And these are like the really bloody, fast-moving, monstrous zombies, not the George Romero slow-moving zombies. So all these years later, Umbrella has come back. It's waging a PR campaign to rehabilitate its image. Is that familiar to anyone? They release a new anti-anxiety drug called Joy, which apparently contains elements of the T virus in it, because why not? And that
is it like to build slow resistance to?
Well, the T virus has a transmissibility to it. It's very pathogenic, so it's supposed to aid in like moving the drug through your system. But it turns people into zombies, which I would say is a bit of a side effect. If not an effect. Now, the first 2 episodes are being directed by Bronwyn Hughes, which has me excited as well. She's very talented, established director, has done Better Call Saul.
Is Mila Jovovich
No,
at all involved?
This is in no way affiliated to any show or movie that's come before.
Okay.
It is related to the video games only. It has nothing to do with the recent Netflix movie that came out with Robbie Amell, Welcome to Raccoon City. I know it's confusing, but this is just Resident Evil.
Is it coming out of Japan?
No, it looks to be an American production.
Okay.
Now,
when does it come out?
It comes out July 14th. And, you know, like I said, I'm not sure about this one. I just recently rewatched the trailer, and it does give a very epic scope and a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of dark humor vibe to it, which I think is very smart because the series itself is inherently silly. And why not just lean into that? And it looks gory as hell, which is, you know, fits the games. Buckets of blood. Resident Evil, July 14th. Honestly, it's Netflix. It could be fantastic. The trailers make it look like it's got quite a budget. So here's hoping. I'm optimistic, but, you know, low expectations, to be honest.
Well, you have fun with that one. And my final recommendation, and it's just going to be short because I really don't want to give anything away here.
Okay.
It's a TV show. It's Stranger Things season 4 part 2.
Yes.
It comes out July 1st.
It's just 2 episodes.
Just 2 episodes. And I think they're probably going to be longer episodes, like the first.
I believe the finale is something like 2 hours
first
long.
6 were.
Yeah. They're like movie length.
So, we already watched part 1. And it was incredible.
It really good.
So I know that the last 2 episodes are going to be also incredible. And I'm very excited about this monster and what happens and, the fate of all the kids.
It's also been pretty cool to see these kids grow up.
Yeah.
Like if you look at them from season 1, they're babies.
It's gotten so much scarier. So if you watch the first couple seasons and, can handle it because it's not too scary, this one is scary.
I'd say that
scariest.
tracks with their development, from preteen into pubescence. Life gets a little bit more intense and scary,
But it's just really great and really fast paced. And the episodes, although they're somewhat double in length, go by so quickly.
Holy shit, do they ever.
And it's just really amazing. So part 2's coming out July 1st. Check it out.
Fast paced thrill ride and super gory. All right. Well, that sounds rad. I'm definitely going to watch that with you because if I find out you watched it without me,
I would never.
I would be so sad.
I mean, you're always around.
That is true.
I can't hide anything from you.
That is true. It's clinging onto them coattails. So our last one
is a collective
because we both wanted to do this. And it I think you know what it is. It's Nope.
It's Nope.
It's Nope.
It's a movie called Nope.
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 July 22nd, coming out in theaters.
Jordan Peele.
Oh, and honestly, stop right there.
Yeah.
Just go watch it.
It's
but don't actually keep listening, please.
It's being categorized as a sci-fi horror movie.
Now, I was really interested because I watched the first trailer, and it made it seem like a really, mysterious sort of scary movie. And then I watched the second trailer, and that introduced some lighter elements, which makes sense. I mean, even Get Out had its moments of levity, which I thought served the horror really well. I mean, Jordan Peele, talk about coming out of nowhere.
For horror.
For horror, that's what I mean. I mean, I was such a big fan of Key and Peele.
Yeah.
And then his first directorial effort was Keanu, which was a lot of fun, but it was it's like pretty light.
Yeah.
And then,
it's like a stoner movie.
Then he hits you with Get Out, and it's like, well, where the fuck have you been? Oh my God.
Well, Peele said the inspiration for this film came out of his experience of being a black cinema goer and the sense of community when watching something intense, and noting that when people watch films like this in the theaters, they exclaim, nope. No, no.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
So it's the love of horror, but also the skepticism of it.
Yeah. Well, or the refusal of your mind to process what it's seeing.
Correct.
When you're confronted with something beyond the limits of your understanding, and you just go, nope, that's not happening, because it can't happen.
So Michael Abels does the music, as he has done in the other Get Out and Us.
Oh,
so
and the
music's going to be really amazing.
It's been standout in both of those films, but especially the score for Us with the plucking. No, but like that for sure, that remix. But the just the plucking violin strings is like, it's so great.
It's so great.
Lupita Nyong'o is transcendent in that movie. The way she moves.
She is. It's great. So it's really unclear what the plot is really. Possible alien invasion, possible otherworldly influence. It stars Daniel Kaluuya, who was in Get Out, but also Black Panther, Queen and Slim. Keke Palmer as well, who got her start acting in Akeelah and the Bee when she was young.
Which is great.
And she's also a pretty notable R&B hip-hop artist.
Yeah.
So Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya play siblings operating a horse training facility for Hollywood in like a remote town.
Hollywood films, yeah. Yep. And it's a generational business. So their daddy used to do, horses for all the like old westerns and
daddy?
Shit. I'm just their dad. Yeah, I slipped a little into like rancher talk.
Barbie Fiera from Euphoria and Steven Yeun from Minari and Walking Dead also star.
I am very excited. Steven Yeun he has done some really interesting genre projects. He's shown a range that is really impressive for someone his age. I'm a big fan. This one, so from what I could gather from the trailers, and it's one of those movies that I think the less you know, the better. It centers on this horse training family. The patriarch of the family dies under mysterious circumstances. He dies or he's killed. And the siblings start to notice dark shapes in the clouds above. And they set out to capture evidence of this because their business is failing. Their fathers died. So they're thinking they can cash in if they can prove the existence of aliens. It looks to me like they bite off more than they can chew. Steven Yeun plays what looks to be some sort of like P.T. Barnum type character of like a snake oil salesman, like a presenter type.
Maybe he comes selling like a solution for the problem.
I'm not sure,
but maybe it's like an invented problem.
I am all.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In order to sell the remedy.
Yeah, you create the disease and sell the cure. There was a shot in there of an. I'm guessing it was an alien. It really looked like the skull monsters from They Live.
Ooh.
So I dug that.
I love that movie.
Jordan Peele, when he was filming Us, he had his principal actors, Winston Duke and Lupita Nyong'o, he had them watch, I think, 5 horror movies.
Yeah, he gave them homework.
So that they could all develop a shared language on set and know what they were talking about when they were trying to get something. And the list of those movies were, one of them was Martyrs, which is one of the most intense movies I've ever seen. So all that is to say is Jordan Peele knows his shit.
He probably had them watch for this movie Close Encounters, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks to combine family drama with a little bit of that Jordan Peele humor, which, again, just cuts the tension and I think then makes the further horror hurt even more.
You're going to be entertained.
It's entertaining.
That's a guarantee.
It's definitely going to have something to say with it.
That's a Terror in Tandem guarantee.
Take that to the blood bank.
But check it out. It's coming
I'm excited
out.
to see what he does with aliens. A good alien abduction movie is few and far between, but when done right,
is, in fact, I mean, again, we
could
don't
be something
really
else.
know.
Yeah, could be something else. But I'm in. I'm all in.
Me too.
So that's July. It sounds like it's going to be a really fun July.
Yeah,
lot to watch, lot to read.
Loving it.
Excited about that, and excited that you've come back and joined us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Enjoy. Bye.
Terror in Tandem is written, produced, and recorded by Laura and Richard Mathiasen, and edited and mixed by Richard Mathiasen. Our theme was written and performed by Carrie Denver, and all other music was written and performed by David Suspanic. All opinions expressed on this podcast are our own and should be taken as such. Thanks for listening, and please remember to give us a like, a review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. We're still